What's going on, everybody? This Afro Think Tank. Hey, check this out. I want you guys to take this into consideration. While our agricultural industry is collapsing because the tariffs have made it impossible to do business or to grow anything in this country, while all the major corporations are firing as many people as they can to replace them with AI technology and robots, right? While the government has been purged, and while the Republicans are currently fighting to take some of the most important elements of Obamacare from you, while people are starving in the streets, and while being homeless is being made illegal, I want you to remember that Donald Trump is renovating the White House to make a giant ball for the rich and powerful. While Donald Trump is cutting all kinds of government subsidies that make America operate at least on the minimum level, while corporations steal all of our wealth, steal all of our freedom, Donald Trump and his rich buddies are building a golden ballroom so that the world's richest dignitaries and NGOs and billionaire philanthropists can smooge and talk about billionaire big business power stuff. Donald Trump's probably going to call that ballroom the Trump room. He wants to put his own personal stamp. We got $300 million for that. He says it's being paid for by private donors. Doesn't that sound like a scam? Because these private donors would assumably be billionaires and millionaires, the same billionaires and millionaires that companies don't have enough money to keep their employees employed. That's why they're being fired, because so much money to be made with automation and AI. I mean, it's inevitable, right? But instead of lying and having some sort of respectable transition, they're just firing people left and right, making up excuses about downsizing and low returns and all that crap, while they spend $300 million to add a golden ballroom with Donald Trump to the White House while America is burning. I want you to remember that. So all you people who voted for Trump, all you black coonarians and grifters who are still pretending like y'all know anything about Trump, the Republican Party, this neo-Nazi administration, for all you guys, remember, you did this. And this is your man. This is the best white supremacy can do, by the way. By the way, this is the best white supremacy can do. I want everybody to pay attention what white supremacy can do when it's running the world, right? Because right now, the administration is a white supremacy administration. And this is what happens when they run the world. They're weak. Everybody takes advantage of them. They're poor. They make bad business decisions. They don't know how to spend money. They cause inflation. They cause the quality of living to go down. Nobody likes them. Everybody disagrees with them. People protest, riots in the streets. Institutions crumble and fall. And we become a laughingstock and a pariah of the global community. That's what happens when you get rid of DEI, which were all the qualified black people and the people of color who didn't get hired because they were black, right? Because white people like this, these white administrators like this, global white supremacy feels like they deserve to be in charge. And this is what happens when they're in charge. They're showing us how good they are as leaders of civilization right now. So everybody make sure you take note. When you hire all white women and pretty white and all white men and pretty white women that do what all the white men say, this is what you get. This is white supremacy in its full-blown totality with all the power in the world. Can't even run a goddamn government. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.
Trump fired the commission that oversees construction as he forges ahead with a $300 million ballroom and the Arc de Trump. Here's what happened. The White House fired all 6 members of the Commission of Fine Arts, the agency that advises architecture in Washington, D.C., on October 28th. All members had been appointed under President Joe Biden, who replaced members appointed during President Donald Trump's first term. The news, first reported by The Washington Post, comes days after Trump destroyed the east wing of the White House to build a $300 million, 90,000 square foot ballroom. The White House argued it did not need approval for this project and said pushback to the demolition was, quote, manufactured outrage.
Nobody's actually seen anything quite like it. I think it'll be one of the great ballrooms anywhere in the world.
The firings also follow Trump's unveiling of plans to build an arch across from the Lincoln Memorial, dubbed an Arc de Trump, for America's 250th anniversary.
That's Lady Liberty. Did you ever hear of Lady Liberty?
What's more, Trump signed a Making Federal Architecture Beautiful Again executive order in August, which states the default style for DC area buildings should be classic Greek and Roman structures. During his second term, Trump has restructured several other boards, including the board of directors at the Kennedy Center and the National Planning Commission.
Worked on two major architectural projects. Number one was a ballroom. Number two was an Arc de Triomphe. Those two things Trump is now actively working on. Hi, Esther Kim Barrett, congressional challenger and art historian. Spent 12 years doing a doctorate at Columbia in the history of art and architecture. In 1939, also constructed for himself with his architect Albert Speer a ballroom to celebrate through architecture the triumph of the Third Reich. The similarities don't end there. The other major significant architectural project that worked on with his friend Albert Speer was also an Arc of Triumph after his visit to Paris. Trump has also proposed that we build an Arc of Triumph in commemorating himself across from the Lincoln Memorial. What I'm telling you is that he is sending signs to the public that he is serious about his authoritarianism. If we had more historians in Congress, we'd all be in a better place.
Are you fucking kidding me? This guy wants to create a ballroom for his rich friends while completely turning a blind eye to the fact that babies are going to starve when the SNAP benefits end in just hours from now? Come on. So what? I'm not going to be distracted by, oh, does the guy have a big fucking hammer? What about those babies?
Anyone else notice that the East Wing demolition came at a really convenient time for Trump? Because while we all focused on this, a lot of shit went down. Trump said he would just straight up kill people with no due process when asked about the Venezuela boat strikes. The administration has killed at least 43 people so far and not provided any public evidence to back up claims that they were drug traffickers or in any way a threat to the US. ICE created a poster and has been continuing their crusade of violent arrests. And Stephen Miller just said that ICE agents have federal immunity for their duties. People are getting notices that their ACA premiums could double, and Republicans in Congress still won't negotiate to extend the ACA subsidies and open the government. The national debt increased by $1 trillion in just 2 months, which is the fastest accumulation of debt outside of the pandemic or national emergencies. Meanwhile, prices for everything from cars and homes to coffee, eggs, and beef are on the rise, mostly because of Trump's tariffs. And despite the dismal economic outlook, Trump wants to spend $40 billion to bail out Argentina and import their beef, which has seriously pissed off farmers and ranchers. Trump tried to bribe several universities with preferential funding if they signed a pledge to protect conservative ideas. He also opened up a huge Alaska wildlife refuge to oil. And more states like Indiana, Missouri, Florida, and Kansas are now trying to redraw their maps to give Republicans an edge for 2026 by undermining blue and other minority voters. So yeah, it's sad that the White House is getting demolished, but there's a reason it's a current Trump priority and talking point. It's a, hey, look over here while I screw you distraction, but also a damn good metaphor for what's happening right now.
Is Trump building the third temple? So did you know that this 90,000 square foot ballroom at the White House might be more than just luxury? People online are talking about the architecture and the symbolism behind the third temple, and the Bible warns us about what that can mean. So let's talk about it. The White House is building a massive ballroom. Some people call it the ballroom. 90,000 square feet, seating 650 to 900 people, an estimation of 2 to 300 million, and it's privately funded. Some people are watching and speculating, could this addition actually have the patterns and functions of the biblically prophesied third temple? In Jewish and Christian end times thought, the rebuilding of the temple is symbolic in Jerusalem as a key event. But people are also saying, who's to say that Jerusalem really is Jerusalem? Meaning that, you know how deceptive the devil can be. Who's to say where the third temple was really going to be built? So in the Bible, we read about the context of the third temple. In prophetic context, for example, prophetic visions in Ezekiel chapters 40 through 42 describes a future temple. And some sources note that the time will come when the prince who is to come will sit in the temple of God, and he will tell people that he is God. But there's a site called Amazing Facts, and it warns that there's no definite command in Scripture that says the physical new temple must be built before Christ's return. Yet the symbolism and expectation continues. So when you see a massive temple-like architecture rising, we should examine it spiritually. What do you guys think about this? I want to know. Comment below. And look at that size, huge and privately funded. Come on, what do you think? Are we witnessing something biblical happening right now? Are we in the book of Revelation? It doesn't matter. There's no fear. As a believer in Jesus Christ, we know the things to come, and we laugh at destruction and famine just like God. We're not worried about it. If you see something shifting in culture, make sure that you look to Jesus Christ, pray for discernment, and I'll see you in the next video.
Why the fuck would a military weapons company invest in a ballroom? The deafening silence from the MAGA cultists after their God King destroyed the entire East Wing of the White House, which has been there since 1902, many people have speculated exactly why he needed to tear down the entire East Wing for his fucking ballroom. A ballroom that, mind you, is not even supposed to be completed until at the end of his term. Trump never does anything for other people. He only does it so he can enjoy the spoils. So that already tells you he has no plans of leaving office. But there is no reason that that ballroom would cost almost $300 million. And people have been noting that underneath is the Emergency Operations Center, the bunker that was built for the president during World War II. And people have speculated that he's actually tearing it down in order to recreate a brand new state-of-the-art bunker. Just in case, people actually do rise up against him and he needs a safe place to go so that he can rule the country without worrying about retaliation. And it sounded kind of strange at first, but then I realized something. Funding for that ballroom is entirely coming from billionaire tech companies and places like Lockheed Martin. Why in the fucking world would weapons companies be giving money for a presidential ballroom? All of these billionaire tech companies, telecom companies, and energy companies. Not to mention places like Palantir. The only reason companies would donate for the construction of something is if they would benefit from its construction and use. And what place do you build where tech companies, telecommunications companies, and weapons companies and energy companies benefit from its construction? I'll tell you one thing, it's not a fucking ballroom.
I do not understand why all of these liberals are so freaked out by Donald Trump building a ballroom onto the White House. It's completely normal and it's nothing to worry about. Well, if it was completely normal and nothing to worry about, then why did Donald Trump in the White House tell staff of the Treasury and White House to stop taking pictures of the ballroom construction and no longer share it with the public? It's kind of like the Epstein files. If you're not worried about what is in the Epstein files, then you would be for releasing the Epstein files for the people to be held accountable that are in them. With the White House ballroom construction, if Donald Trump and the White House were not doing things that they shouldn't be, then they would be totally fine with people taking photos and sharing it to the internet. But I also think this is a great time to remind all of you that the White House is the house of the people, not the White House that is Donald Trump's, to do whatever he desires to it. I know that might shock a lot of you, but Donald Trump cannot do absolutely everything that he wants.
$200 million on a ballroom, huh? That's what they're going to spend on a ballroom on the White House. Caroline Leavitt gave a whole speech about this ballroom they're going to add because there's no space for events other than a tent, which is gaudy, God forbid. So they're going to build a ballroom. So my thinking when I heard this was, how are Trump supporters going to defend spending $200 million on a fucking ballroom that nobody really needs? And of course they're defending it, because of course they are. Their defense is that it's coming from private donors. It's private funds. It's not taxpayer money. How about we use those private funds, those private donated $200 million to help people instead? What if we used it to, like, I don't know, fund cancer research, since they just cut that, or feed kids, or maybe we could house all those homeless vets conservatives always pretend to care about that they don't actually care about. Just a thought. Because it seems kind of crazy to me that a priority of this administration right now is a $200 million gaudy-ass ballroom that none of us are ever going to see the inside of. But what do I know?
How do you think it looks that he is destroying the White House to build this unnecessary $300 million ballroom while federal employees just missed their first paycheck? Cost of healthcare just this week has come out in multiple states is going to triple for 17 million American families. And he's demolishing the White House to build his beautiful ballroom with donations from all of the biggest tech companies in the world. Open corruption.
There's no money coming out of the United States citizens' pockets for this. So why are you guys all in an uproar? I don't understand. Why weren't you in an uproar when we had Biden there and there were trans people flashing their boobies, saying all kinds of stuff?
Now you're making shit up.
When
Oh,
Biden
we're wrong
hosted
about
that White
that
House
too.
Proud thing, White House Proud event on the lands, on the right there in the White House grounds, where was our uproar over that? That's just A-OK.
There's no uproar because pride is pride, and I support that.
So you support our United States White House having people on it naked, flashing their boobs in broad daylight.
And it's a man.
We now know exactly who is going to be paying for President Trump's brand new $300 million ballroom. The White House released this list of names today. Now, there are two pretty big names that are missing from this list, which I'm going to talk about in a second. But I want to first talk about the people that are on the list, because when you look at it, you're looking at a bunch of, rich U.S. companies and big billionaires and millionaires, and you're thinking probably, who cares? At least we, the taxpayers, aren't on the hook for this $300 million project. Well, that would be one way to look at this list, but there's another way to look at this list. And before I share that with you, I want to explain why generally public projects are not fully funded by private donations. Now, I'm not saying it never happens, but it's kind of rare, and there's a reason why it's rare. The U.S. government, your state government, heck, even your local government uses public taxpayer money to fund projects so that the ownership of that project, whether it's a federal highway or a public building like your city hall or even like a public library, belongs to the people. It serves the public need and follows a transparent process. And you, the public, get a say in how that public facility is constructed and operated with your money. And that doesn't happen with private business. And there's one more pretty big reason for not using private money to fund public projects, and that is to avoid even the appearance, the waft of quid pro quo, meaning buying favors or buying special treatment. Now, I'm not saying that any of that is happening with this new Trump White House ballroom or with any of these specific donors. Privately, a billionaire and CEO of the major financial services company, Cantor Fitzgerald. And then you'll see Kelly Loeffler and her husband on this list. Kelly Loeffler, of course, is the administrator of President Trump's Small Business Administration. And her husband just so happens to be the CEO of the parent company of the New York Stock Exchange. One more name I want to call your attention to on this list is the one at the very top, Stefan E. Brody. He is a biotech entrepreneur who also just so happens to have been convicted of a federal crime for conspiring to do business with Cuba, going around U.S. sanctions, which is a federal crime. Now, Mr. Brody attempted to get a pardon under President Biden, but President Biden never granted him that pardon. Now, I'm switching back to the original list of donors because the White House did not disclose how much money each of these people are donating to the ballroom. And there's two names that are missing from this list. I mean, it jumps out to me that they are not on this list. Number one is Elon Musk, President Trump's close ally, the richest man in the world. He is not on this list. He is not donating to Trump's ballroom. And speaking of Trump, number two name missing from this list is Donald J. Trump, even though the president has said repeatedly that he is the one funding this ballroom along with all these donors. So if you want to see this list up close for yourself, I'm going to email it all out to you in tonight's Backstage 2 email, so make sure you sign yourself up.
I would booze Allen Hamilton, build a ballroom. That ain't making sense to me. They're a defense contractor. What is it they're really after? It feels like a CO conspiracy. Why would Lockheed Martin build a ballroom? That ain't making sense to me. They build rockets, they build missiles. Now it's drinks to wet your whistle. It's something sinister indeed. Oh, why would Palantir want to help build a ballroom? Oh, that ain't making sense to me. I just can't get down with that, man. You remember that scene from Batman? They're gonna build more surveillance technology. Oh, turns out Hitler also built a ballroom. Oh, now it's making sense to me. Oh, cause when stuff hit the fan, that's the place that they all ran. And it turns out that Trump has the exact same plan. God damn it!
It won't interfere with the current building. It'll be near it, but not touching it. And pays total respect to the existing building, which I'm the biggest fan of. It's my favorite place. I love it.
Fuck this, fuck that, and bitch, fuck you. Fuck this, fuck shit, fuck your daddy too. No, I ain't forget your motherfucker too. Motherfucker, fuck your blood and this fuckery they got us going through. Those fuckers put us under spells. Said fuck y'all to a living hell. Fuck all the laws that nature tells. So we die cursed while they live well. But fuck, I've had it up to here. I curse their curses with no fear. I give no fucks, I'll live to hear the song that justice sings so clear.
Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan!
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.